Hello and welcome back to another one of my quarantine talks. I think I'll call this one maybe instead of a fireside chat like Roosevelt did during World War II, maybe these will be like a vintage typewriter talk or something like that. It's the closest thing. So today in the theme of anxiety, which I keep hearing more and more about, I've decided that maybe we should talk about, the news and taking a break from it and why that might be useful. Biologically, evolutionarily, we're designed to hear things in our immediate vicinity and take them very seriously. And in this case, it's not entirely unrealistic to hear about things all over the country and have to take them very seriously. But we can get overwhelmed. Our senses and our psyche have a hard time distinguishing from events, happening across the world or in New York and happening in our own living rooms. We're kind of designed to take everything as a very immediate threat. And so, basically the idea being that, when we were hunter-gatherers wandering around the savannah, we would hear about Joe getting eaten by a saber-toothed tiger by the watering hole, and we're like, whoa, better be careful when you go to the watering hole, right? And that was very useful then. But for the majority of us, as we stay quarantined, we're actually quite safe. And hearing repeatedly on the news, some people, one of my friends got me addicted to reading the coronavirus Reddit, and that can actually keep you pretty keyed up. And it seems that checking in once a day would be plenty thorough enough to know what was going on and how to keep yourself safe, especially if you're finding yourself kind of having the deleterious mental effects from the anxiety. I don't know if you've read Walden by Thoreau. But while he was sitting on Walden Pond in his cabin, once in a while he would go into town and read a newspaper. And I remember once, as I was reading it, I remember he said that, he would read in the paper about something like a landslide in China or something. And there was nothing he could do about it. He would feel very bad. He would lament that it had happened. But in the end, for his particular situation, it wasn't really that important, which sounds cold in some ways, but also self-preserving and realistic in others. So there's a lot of heartbreak out there in the world right now, and we do have a somewhat of an obligation to witness it, but we also have an obligation to keep ourselves from being sucked down so deep into it that we become non-functional or start to damage our own mental health. So with that in mind, if you're starting to feel a little overwhelmed by the news, it's completely acceptable and likely advisable that you start to back off a bit. Stay informed, stay safe, listen to the CDC and the people telling us what's best. But you don't have to be listening and watching 24/7 or even 5 hours a day, which just seems to be what a lot of people are doing. So take a break, take a walk. I'll link this video into the kind of meditative, contemplative walk video I did earlier. And, I think for your mental health, skipping some news and maybe taking one of those useful walks might be a great way to get a little more balance around what's going on right now. So I'll put a link to that video. Hope this was a little bit useful, and thanks for watching, and stay strong.